What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. It's typically Aggro and Barracuda, but Barra, he kind of ditched me this week, chat. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's very busy prepping for the biggest tournament of the year, the Smite World Championship, which is next week, or that he has COVID. I'm assuming it's only because he doesn't like me anymore. So stay tuned on that story. But we had Hazer on as a guest a little bit ago, and I joked about if he wanted to co-host a podcast with me instead of Barracuda. And so whenever Barra I knew was going to be out, Paul, you were the first person I messaged. I said, I know just the man, and I'm very glad you were able to step in for him. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Just ready to do such a good job that Barra never makes it back.
Yeah, he's going to be embarrassed by how good this episode is. That's all I can assume. And Hazer, this is just the beginning of us putting on an absolute clinic together when it comes to breaking down Smite game Battleground of the Gods, because you're flying in soon enough to join us for the Smite World Championship and do a little bit of desk analyst work. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, really excited. I've wanted to work Worlds ever since I started going to Worlds, but I was always qualifying, so never able to work it. So this year, Hindu was nice enough to get in contact with me and give me a shout about traveling out. So yeah, started packing today, got some final bits and pieces to do tomorrow, and then I should be traveling bright and early on Tuesday.
So, as the only European person on the broadcast, did Hindu Man tell you have to wear a bow tie since he's not going to be on? Like, normally that's his thing, or what?
I don't own any. Well, no, I own a bow tie that goes with a kilt, but they're kind of different. They go with different shirts, so I could bring it. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay, hold on. You're going to need to explain that to me a little bit more. You have a bow tie that goes with a kilt.
Yeah, so you wear a kilt and you wear like a special shirt. Like there's a special kind of shirt you wear, which has just little. It's almost like it's kind of similar to the shirt you wear with the tux, which is slightly different than a regular shirt, right?
Yep.
And you have a bow tie that goes with that. I guess it would go fine with a regular shirt. You never would wear it with a regular shirt in Scotland because that would be weird.
Everyone would judge you for that. How often are people wearing kilts out, like, in Scotland? Is that a common thing?
Well, like people who play the bagpipes wear them all the time. But other than that, you only wear them at like special occasions. So weddings, at Cayleys, which is like a Scottish folk dancing type thing. You wear them at those, and at like sporting events.
At sporting events, interesting. Is that like?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna interview you about Scottish things now. Is it like? If it's the Scottish national team up against someone else, like everyone's wearing kilts, I guess. But if it's like two Scottish football teams, is everyone just wearing kilts because that's what you do? No,
only international football and rugby, I would say that we wear kilts too. So, but like even then, like I don't wear a kilt I go to the Scotland international soccer football games, whatever we want to call it, and I don't wear a kilt normally. But a couple of my pals would go wear kilts.
Okay, all right, that I feel like it's got to be pretty comfortable, to be honest. Like when I envision myself wearing a kilt, I feel like it wouldn't be that bad. It'd be kind of nice to have the breeze,
Yeah, it's aye. I can't complain about it at all. It's quite good. We have something called a sporran as well, which is essentially a fanny pack, which is, it doesn't really go with a lot of, you just don't get that often, and it's actually quite a nice thing to have. You don't have pockets, so you kind of need it, but.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, do they have pockets or not? Well, hey, I mean, if that's if you can get away with wearing a fanny pack and everyone's gonna not judge you, then like we can all agree that even though fanny packs don't look good, they would be convenient, right? Like no one's contesting that aspect of the fanny pack. You just get judged because they look so bad. But if they were culturally acceptable, I feel like more people would actually just have them.
Yeah, they're very practical, I think. But we gotta stick things in our pockets because we are men. Ugh. And we must obey societal norms. That's what we do.
That's what we do. Toxic masculinity is how we do it. Obviously, everyone, we're getting pumped up for the Smite World Championship next week. But before we get into talking about it, got to let you guys know that this episode of the Backliners is brought to you by Axie Infinity. Play-to-earn games are games that allow you to earn crypto in-game, and Axie Infinity is the most popular play-to-earn crypto game in the world. Go to go.okex.com/Axie or the link in chat to find out how you can start earning crypto today. All right, let's talk about how this bracket played out here, Paul, because the Tartarus Titans as a number 1 seed, they got their choice of which quarterfinal winner they wanted to play. And they chose to play against the winner of the Jade Dragons up against Solar Scarabs. Their other option, of course, being Leviathans up against Bolts. If you were in their shoes, is this the quarterfinal you would have taken?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Dragons have been the shakiest we've seen them in the last couple of iterations of this squad. Even I think they're the shakiest they've been, the least convincing they've been, and I don't think that this meta especially suits them either. And I think that whether justified or not, I think the Titans are a little afraid of the Leviathans if the Leviathans catch fire, and there's always danger of Bolts catching fire at Worlds as well. I think that the Dragons and Scarabs is probably a safer bet. That's the one I would have chosen if I were them.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat, because I think if you just do the thought experiment of who is the best team in the quarterfinals, I think that you'd be hard pressed to argue anyone but the Atlantis Leviathans. So you want to take the quarterfinal opposite them. But I think that the Jade Dragons, even though I agree that this is their weakest iteration in many years, they did start to look a lot better at placements. You know, they go up 2-0 over the Bolts, lose 2 in a row, and then win that game 5. But those first 2 games against the Bolts, that looked like a typical PBM Panda Cat team around Worlds time. They looked pretty dominant in at least 2 games. So I think that if you're a Dragons fan, I would be feeling at least marginally better about their Worlds chances than I was pre-placements.
Yeah, I'd definitely be cautiously optimistic. And they're definitely a team that can come in and come in with a strategy or a play style which is really difficult to play against. They have the potential of when they're on, they're so oppressive and they just don't let you play the game. But it's whether they can hit those heights and whether those heights are good enough in the current meta to snowball games. I think it's pretty tough right now to play their play style.
On the subject of the Solar Scarabs, I mean, this is a team that consistently subverts expectations, can literally never count this team out. Always gonna be willing to pull something a little bit weird out of their back pocket. How do you think this meta suits them?
I think it suits them pretty well, especially I think Baronic has found a really good... Baronic and Stuart, I think, are the 2 that I would look at to say they found a really good point in this meta where the magical ADCs really suit Stuart and the physical ADCs in mid are really suiting Baronic, the Charybdis and the AMC in particular. And then, I mean, oh God, I don't want to say it, but Scream is kind of going crazy right now. He's making people ban ridiculous picks like Neja, which is terrible. That god is so bad.
That god is so bad. So bad. And Mifflin brought this up on broadcast, so I feel okay telling the story. So a little bit ago, a few weeks ago, we were doing some server tests in studio, and I played a Naja game, and multiple times I would like blink alt, no sash, anything like that, in close range too, because it does affect your beads window, how far away the Naja is, of course. I would blink alt Dolson, and Dolson was react beadsing me and making it so my alt didn't work. And I love Dave to death, okay? Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. They just won their division. If Dave Olsen is reaction beadsing my ultimate, no SPL player is getting taken up. And if you can't ult someone, then what's the point of your character? Like, I don't know. I think that god is horrible.
Yeah, I cannot see him being good. I don't understand how Scream makes it work, but he does. And people are so scared of it. I think it's one of these gods like Athena, where if you haven't played against it in a while, it's really, really annoying to play against, and you kind of just want to get rid of it. Maybe we'll see teams have a bit more practice into it going into Worlds, but I could see it still just being a permaban.
Yeah, that is actually crazy to think about. All right, well, how do you think this set between the Dragons and Scarabs plays out? What are your predictions there?
Oh, it's a super interesting one, because I think the Scarabs will come in and they're going to try and play a really late game play style is what I expect. I expect they're going to draft for the late game and try and just tough it out through the early game like they did against the Warriors in game 4 of their second set. Whether they're able to do it or not against the Dragons, I mean, toughing it out against the Warriors, who have historically been one of the most inactive early game teams in the league, is a lot easier than toughing it out against the dragons. And I think it's going to come down a lot to drafts and a lot to how the matchup between Hurry and Baronic goes, who gets the upper hand there. I think that's where it'll probably be decided, unless Sam just picks Mercury and goes crazy in sidelines. We'll see.
You got a number of games and a winner for me here. I'm gonna do the same. I can go first if you want.
I'm gonna give it to the Jade Dragons 3-1.
Yeah, I think.
What about you?
Yeah, I think 3-1 is the way I'm leaning. I could also see this going 5. But I agree that I just think the Scarabs, they're a little bit too volatile early, and have just fallen into the trap of insta losing themselves games early game, and the Dragons will insta win games early game, and that is not a super great recipe, I think, for the Scarabs. You know, I do think that if they can take some momentum away, you know, if they can go up like 2-1 in this set, I do think that the Dragons might feel some pressure, and they can maybe steal it away. I don't think it's like a slam dunk win for the Dragons, but I would mark myself as surprised if the Scarabs won this set. That's the way I'd word it.
Yeah. I would be, it's no shot at the Dragons. I'd be pleasantly surprised, happy for the Scarabs guys if they made it through, and it'd be kind of a great storyline to see them even just getting to the semifinal of Worlds. But yeah, right now my money's on the Dragons. The experience is there, right?
Agreed. And I think that you were mentioning mid lane. I'm going to be looking at Hunters. I think that Panda Cat has just been, it's so dominant in his career. This obviously has not been his best year, but usually turns it up around this time. And Stewart has looked really, really good recently, and they're going to need him to continue to look really good if the Scarabs are going to win this set. I saw someone bring it up before we move on. Bastet and Scream, obviously a pair that you can expect historically. How good do you think this iteration of Bastet is? Do you think we're going to see her?
I think we will see her. I don't think she'll be a dominant pick. I think her ult is pretty hard to connect with from my playing with her.
Yeah.
I think the rest of her kit's really, really strong, honestly. Apparently, it's weaker than the old kit, according to some people. The 1, 2, and 3 is a little bit weaker than her 1, 2, and 3 used to be, but she feels strong to me, having given her a go. I think we'll see her, but not highly prioritized.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I was looking at the Smite GG win rates and that kind of stuff, you know, she's been very high since her rework. Like high enough that I'm like, she's got to be really good, even if I don't necessarily think she feels oppressive. Her win rate tells me otherwise, so I don't know. I think that she might not see as much play as she should, but I think that if we do see her, she'll probably be pretty impactful. That ult is just good, if you can land it, which is hard. I agree. But you know, we're kind of washed, Hazer. I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but we're a little bit washed. At least when you're not on Neath, which we all know is the signature. But you know, if that was just like Neath ult, you'd be slamming with it. There's no doubt.
Yeah. If you could just aim it, if you just crouch down, aim that best ult, get it in there, I would be. Yeah, I think that's maybe why Neath suits me now that I'm washed. You don't even have to aim one of her abilities.
It's always good. Okay, I actually think Neath is going to be a pretty strong pick at this World. This Mannequin's Hidden Blade, like one-shot Neath ult late game. Her early game's still good enough in mid. I don't know about you, but I do know about you. I'm a big Neath fan going into Worlds. I think she's going to be pretty solid.
I'm a big Neath fan, but I do see her as like the second echelon of Hunter mids. Like she's below like I like Charybdis a lot, and I like AMC a lot. I think AMC is going to be like the best mid laner at this event, probably.
Yep, agreed.
But I think Neath's in that kind of second tier of Hunters in mid, like Chiron, Neath, and her maybe, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, next quarterfinal is the Atlantis Leviathans up against the Olympus Bolts. This, by the way, we can be way more toxic about the Bolts than we normally can because Bear's not here, chat. So we get to be really mean about the Bolts all the time. This set, I mean, we both said that we really like the Leviathans, that we think they're very good, but this matchup historically has gone the Bolts' way in the big sets. These two teams always seem to face off. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I'm a big Leviathans I'm a big fan of the Leviathans. I think they're really, really good. I think like Hardcore has been the best player in the league this year. I think they're super sick, but I do think they're kind of chokers. I hate to say, I hate to throw it out there, but I think we saw it up against the Kings in that last tournament set, which they were very, very favored in, and the pressure I feel like got to them. I'm not sure who it gets to or how it gets to them. It feels to me like something goes wrong in the core for the Leviathans in important sets. Whether they'll have enough to get past the Bolts still, I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to go straight out with a prediction. I'm going to say Bolts 3-2.
Wow, you're actually picking the Bolts, huh? Because I'm drinking the Kool-Aid you're giving me here, Hazer. I really feel like I'm right there with you. I've been really high on the Leviathans all year. I think that Rongyu has really taken his game to a next level and has been unbelievable. I agree with you on your core that he's been certainly in the conversation for best player in the league all year. I think Zap has given this team a ton of confidence in these bigger moments, but we've only seen them in like one or two big moments, quote unquote. He was on their team for the Phase 2 playoffs. They got 3-1 in the finals by the Titans. Phase 2 playoffs. And then Phase 3 playoffs, they have that Game 5 up against the Kings that nearly made my brain melt out of my ears. I just could not believe what I was seeing. And it's really hard for me to like pick them when I remember how bad that Game 5 was. Because I think it was all mental. Like, I don't think that there was a whole lot of execution. I thought it was all mental. And they're up against a team that historically has beaten them in these sort of situations. It's I don't know. I'm so torn because I think they're so good, but I don't know if Zap is enough to get them to play the way they normally play up against the Bolts. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out with here's my hot take, Hazer, okay? If they play... No, this isn't even a hot take. This is a stupid take. What am I even saying? I can't say any of this. I was going to say if they like play the way they play in the regular season, they'll win Worlds, but that's like I think that's just like a nonsense take, and it just like doesn't make any sense. And I want to say if they like 3-0 the Bolts, they'll win Worlds. But how can I even say that that's true? Because the pressure only gets higher as you keep going. You know what I mean? So I just can't. I think that every single player on the Leviathans is in contention for best player in their role. I think they've got probably the best team play in the league. And with both of those two statements, I still think they're going to lose to the Bolts in the quarterfinals. Because I think that... How can I pick anything else until I'm proven otherwise? The proof is right in front of me.
We're in the same boat. How many games do you have them getting? You think they're going to win one? 2?
I think they're going to win one. I think it's going to be a 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah. And I hope I'm wrong because I don't, because Bear's going to be upset with me and that's the thing is that everyone's going to be upset with me no matter what I say. But the Leviathans, like, I want to see them perform under high pressure. And for the record, I think that they don't need to win this Worlds in order to lose that choker tag. I think if they go out and play well and the other team just outdrafts them and outplays them, that's fine. But, you think of Worlds 2 years ago and like the horrible relic usage that they had in those sets, particularly Shinto. And then you think that Phase 3 playoffs and it's build mistakes and positional mistakes and not being any sort of aggressive like they normally would. If they repeat those things, then I think that narrative continues. But I don't think they probably need to beat the Bolts in order to lose that title. They do, no matter what happens. They need to win this quarterfinal if they want to lose the moniker of land chokers. But I do not personally think they need to win the whole thing in order to lose it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think getting to semis or getting... I do almost feel like they need to win their semifinal as well, though.
Yeah.
To lose it, to conquer the Kings,
Yes. Yeah. That's going to be... this bottom side of the bracket, I think, is so interesting because I don't think you have the high end of like the Titans or the Dragons and what they're capable of when they're playing their best on any of these three teams. But these three teams are so consistent, but also like... They'll play 9 games out of 10 games. They'll play 9 super well. Whereas the Titans, I don't know if they'd play 9 super well. The Dragons certainly wouldn't play 9 super well. But that one game for all 3 of these teams is so horrendously bad that they couldn't possibly win by accident. You know what I mean? Like, they're consistent, but their low end is like way lower than I think the other teams is, which is an interesting sort of situation we find ourselves in. All right, so we both have it being the Tartarus Titans up against the Jade Dragons in the semifinals. The Titans coming in as that top seed. I don't know about you, but I consider them the favorite, but by a pretty small margin. Think that this is probably the year with the least obvious favorite in quite some time. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think they're by far the easiest team to predict winning.
Yeah. They've just looked really, really good as of late, and no one has really forced them to do anything different. Do you, and this goes for both the Kings and the Titans, do you think it's a big deal that these two teams didn't play at all in placements one way or the other? Do you think it's a big advantage or disadvantage?
I think I would always prefer to come in a little bit warmer, to have a little bit more experience, especially I think it's more important when you're switching environment a little bit more than they are at this event. So we're going to the studio, but it's not the same as playing in front of a crowd, so it's not as big of a shift. But I do think it's good to get those reps in early, to have had more games in the studio as well, more recently, which some of the teams that played at playoffs will have. Or play-ins. I can't remember what we call them. Play-ins? Placements.
Yeah.
World's placements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would prefer... I mean, it's obviously good to be the better team and entering into the semifinals, but I think if I could be the best team and enter into the quarterfinals, I would choose that instead.
Interesting. That's fair, I suppose. All right, so we've got Titans up against Dragons. What are your thoughts on how this set goes?
I think that the Titans will win. I think that the meta shifts haven't hurt them too much. Layers gods are still really strong. I expect Paul to adapt to the Hunter mid meta pretty well. I think Cyclone will do fantastic on mage ADCs, and I think that most importantly, this is a team of players who always perform at Worlds and always perform on the big stage. I mean, Layers, I guess, is maybe the question mark, but the other four, like, my goodness, could you pick a better group of guys to perform at Worlds? I don't think Paul, Cyclone, Benji, I guess, especially, are the 3 that you'd look at and you'd say, have they ever had a bad game at Worlds? I'm not sure they have. They are crazy good under pressure, and so I think they'll perform.
Yeah, I think those guys are nuts. I actually can think of a bad Cyclone game at Worlds, though, was Season 6 quarterfinals with Splice whenever they lost to SK Game 3. I thought they were going to win that set for sure. I think everyone did. SK was, like, not very good during the regular season. But that is the only instance. And the only reason I remember it so much is because I was like, holy crap, I've never seen Cyclone have a bad game like this in a big moment. So I'm with you. I think if the Dragons win this set, they're going to win Worlds. I think that, not to say that the team coming out of the bottom side is going to be not as good, but I think that if the Dragons are playing well enough to beat the Titans, then they're going to have so much momentum and so much more confidence that I think that they can finally break the curse. That being said, I don't see it happening. I think the Titans... I think Freya being good is like literal best case scenario for this team. Cyclone is the best Freya player in the world by a large margin. And so having him be able to play that god, it really opens up their drafts. I am a little curious as to what Paul's god pool is going to look like. Because, he has played a lot of Hunter gods in the past. I could see him pulling out something like Kronos or something like that, because I don't think traditional mages are very good. But, I don't think of Paul as like an AMC player or a Chiron player or a Neath player or anything like that. But I also didn't consider Paul an Aphrodite player. And then he picked up Afro and became one of the best in the league at it and really set a meta with it. So, I'm not saying Paul can't do it. I'm just interested to see what he's going to do. I really think that it's going to be an exact repeat of the semifinals of Phase 3 playoffs, where if you recall, the Jade Dragons came out absolutely stomped them game 1, like embarrassed them, and then got absolutely rolled 3 games in a row, and it was a Titans 3-1. That's my prediction for how this set goes.
I think I'll go a step further and say it's a 3-0 to the Titans. I think they're gonna come in, they're gonna have prepped on the Dragons drafts from the start, probably take away something that Harry's been slamming on. Maybe he's slamming on Zeus, maybe he's slamming on Neath, I don't know. And I think Paul will perform on Hunter's mid. I think Uller is one to know that he has played a lot.
Oh, of course,
but I
yeah.
think he'll have an AMC in the locker. Like, if any of the mid laners doesn't have an AMC in the locker at this point, then you're trolling. You're trolling. Yep. You gotta be practicing that all week, every day. Get on that Smurf, get in ranked, and ruin everybody's day.
Yep. Just press 2-3, clear the wave. Press 4, that person dies, and it's up in like 15 seconds because you can pick it up. Yeah, that god is something else right now for sure. Yeah. All right, and then the other semifinal, the Camelot Kings up against. We both have the Olympus Bolts in that slot, but we could also talk about the matchup if they do end up playing the Leviathans. How do you think the Kings are going to perform?
It's interesting because for the Kings, I have a lot less confidence in their I guess fortitude under pressure in this event. I don't know that I think they're going to perform quite as well as a team like the Titans would. But then again, I mean, we saw them come through in the placement in the playoffs. Sorry, the Phase 3 playoffs, and did really impressive stuff while under a lot of pressure, I suppose. Meta shift wise, I think it suits them. Netrioid is probably the other name you'd put on the table for best Freya outside of Cyclone Spin. Very, very good Freya player. Big Man Tings, incredible player mechanically. Seems like he can just play anything. Like, it doesn't matter what he picks. He's gonna do amazingly on it. I'm really high on Big Man Tings.
Me too.
I think where it comes down to is going to be Twig and Genetics in this one. Variety, I have confidence in performing. Twig and Genetics are going to be the ones that have to step up for this team, and they're going to be the question marks for me on whether they perform or not. I think they'll beat the Bolts. I think they'll beat the Bolt. I think if they're against the Leviathans, they'll lose, though. So I don't know where I'm getting this from, but that is my feelings. I think that they will have. I think they will do a better job of counter-stratting and counter-drafting and figuring out how the Bolts are going to play. I think the Bolts tend to be a bit more predictable and one-dimensional. The Leviathans just play the meta and play the meta really, really well, but I don't think that they are as easy to counter-pick against and counter-draft against because they play all the good stuff.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. This Kings team, man, I haven't been able to quite pin down how I feel about this team all year. They've been very different in how they want to execute on things. And when I think about how they got to this point of the semifinals, you know, they beat the Scarabs 3-2 in what was an ugly set that just had a lot of mistakes and a lot of sloppy plays on both sides. And then they 3-2 the Leviathans, and as we talked about, the Leviathans did everything in their power to not win this set, and the Kings still they still had to scrape it out, despite how I thought the Leviathans were playing. And you know, we were talking about how the Dragons and their performance at Phase 3 playoffs should give their fans some hope. The Kings got to semifinals, but I think if you're a diehard Kings fan, you're probably not feeling that great about how you got there. And I just don't know that I love their chances against either of these teams. You know, I think that the Leviathans could come in and feel that pressure again, and they could win that way. They could just outright beat these teams, but that's not what I'm necessarily predicting. And I think if the Bolts come out, you know, this Bolts team is so momentum-based and so emotional. I feel like if they beat the Leviathans, they're going to be riding really high. You want to talk about a team that did get a warm-up at placements, then gets a warm-up round against a very good team that could give them a lot of confidence, and then they're coming in with a full head of steam, and the Kings have to try and catch them, but instead they start the race like flat-footed. I kind of think that they lose to both of these teams.
No, No, I can see it for sure.
Yeah, I just can't talk myself into a, and look, I will say this is the least confident I've ever been in my like predictions throughout an entire year. I never feel good about what I've said, which is, I speak for a living, by the way. I never feel good about what I say because I don't know, these teams are so hard to predict, but I'm just not a huge believer in the Kings still. And I think I'm going to go 3-1 Bolts if they play against the Bolts. And I think the Leviathans would potentially sweep them. I think I'd go 3-0 Leviathans if they get there. Or the Kings could just 3-0 whoever they play. Who knows? What's the point of you guys listening to this podcast anyway? So? What is going on?
What am I giving it? The Kings versus Bolts. I said Kings, and I'm sticking with that. And I'm going to say Kings win that 3... No, wait, did I say... I said Kings beat Bolts. You said
Kings beat Bolts, yep.
And lose to Leviathans. Good, right, great. That's what I think.
Yep.
Kings beat Bolts 3... Well, they got to get 3. That's the easy bit. Yep. And the Bolts, they get 1. 3-1.
3-1 Bolts, or 3-1 Kings, yeah.
Leviathans, I'm going to give it to the Leviathans 3-2 over the Kings. And it goes game 5, and Leviathans conquer their demons and make it into the final.
That would be absolutely wild. And as you said, Hazer, getting those 3, that 3 number is the key. Just like how if you sign up with Mint Mobile, you buy 3 months and you get 3 months for free. I don't know if you knew that, Hazer, but also by going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile has passed those significant savings on to you. All plans come with an unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And with Mint Mobile, you choose the amount of monthly data that's right for you and stop paying for all that data that you never use. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. So switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. For a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/backliners. That's mintmobile.com/backliners. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/backliners. That's where you got to go. And if any team just has 5 people on Mint Mobile, they've already won Worlds. Because you think about all the savings they've made, Hazer, it's basically the same as like a small portion of a World Championship check.
Yeah. They'll be spending all that on takeout food, no doubt. Those Smite players.
It is out of control, bro. Seriously, like, who cares about a housing stipend, right? We should give them an Uber Eats stipend, and it would literally be worth more money to them.
If we could get like an Uber Eats League sponsorship where they get free Uber Eats, oh my goodness, you could take away half their salary, I think,
and they'd be happy. Good. Yeah, it would probably end up netting them more money.
Yeah, they're single-handedly holding up the DoorDash economy in Alpha Ra.
They really are. Hazer, I feel like I've woken up and all of a sudden I realize that I have the Olympus Bolts in the finals, which is not what I was expecting coming into this podcast. I truly did not think about how I was going to play out the bracket until we went live. But as I'm looking at it, I feel like they've really got a good shot at making that type of run. Which is not what I would have said beforehand. You know, the Bolts have been pretty inconsistent at times, but I don't know. Their side of the bracket seems, that bottom side seems very wide open and also simultaneously very difficult or potentially very easy because these teams have those stinker days. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. Leviathans are so consistent regular season, but you never know what they're going to play like on tournament day, and the Kings and the Bolts, you never know what they're going to play like from minute to minute within a game almost. They could just suddenly decide to stink it up at any moment.
It's no lead is ever safe, which is always fun. So I've got Titans versus Bolts in the finals. You've got Titans versus Kings. How do you think it's going to play out?
I'm gonna give us a 5-game finals.
Oh, thank goodness! I appreciate that.
Do I gotta kind of fly the EU flag, don't I? Do I want to. My heart wants to fly the EU flag so hard.
But what does your head tell you?
My head says Titans win. Definitely. I'm gonna say Titans 3-2 over the Kings in the final. They do it again.
Yeah, You know, I came in saying maybe this is the least clear favorite in a while, but as I'm thinking about it, I think I might be trolling by saying that. I think the Titans might be a pretty significant favorite to win over the rest, over everyone else. I wouldn't say if you gave me a Titans versus the field, I would take, if it's a 50-50, I think I'd take the field, but if you gave me good odds on the Titans, I'd certainly take them. They only have to win 6 Smite games in order to be world champs, which is not a whole lot of Smite games you've got to win. And as much, the Bolts, I kind of talked myself into them beating the Kings. I cannot talk myself into them beating the Titans. I just can't. I think there's a real chance the Titans... Dude, I'm just losing it. I haven't been on broadcast in so long. I'm about to make all these crazy statements. Oh, who cares? The Titans might not drop a game this Worlds, dude. I think they've got a legitimate chance of doing it, but I could also see them not even winning their semifinals, so who cares what's happening? What is going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to how Layers deals with the pressure of Worlds. I guess he's won console world championships, right? So
he has.
He's done it before. So we'll see how he does.
I will say, when he first came to console lands, it was very, very poor performances. It took him if memory serves, at least one full LAN where he did not play well at all. And then the second LAN, he started to play a little bit better. But by the third LAN, he was really playing to his level. I don't think it's going to take that long, but it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that type of pressure. But I really feel like the only team that I believe is truly capable of beating the Titans in a best of 5 is the Leviathans. I don't like the Bolts or the Kings against them in a best of 5, or the Dragons. I think the Dragons and the Leviathans are the only 2 teams that I really could see beating the Titans in a best of 5. Obviously, I don't think it's going to happen for the Dragons because I picked the Titans to win. And yeah, I think if they play the Bolts, I think it might be a quick Sunday for us, Paul. I think it might be a 3-0.
I just thought, what if Scarabs play against the Titans? The storylines! I kind of need that now.
That would be wild, huh?
Can we ask Hindu? Can we please have... No offense, sorry, Mike. I saw you were in chat, but can we please have Scarabs against Titans in the semifinal? That would be. I would like that.
Dude, that would be absolutely crazy, huh? How do you think that matchup? Storylines aside, we both picked the Titans to beat the Dragons. Do you think the Scarabs would potentially fare better?
I think they would do okay, actually. I think Salt maybe goes crazy in that matchup. I think he'd be fueled by rage and take him down.
Can you imagine the tweets afterwards if the Bugs beat them? Can you imagine?
Surely they wouldn't tweet it. I think, honestly, the most smug thing you can do is not tweet anything. Just be like, GG's, guys.
No, there's no way they would. Have you seen... Dude, I love Bobby so much. I really love him. But is there any world where Bobby simply says, GG, fun set, if they beat the Titans? Are you kidding me? He'd lose it.
Would he?
Yeah, I think he would.
I think if anybody's going to lose, it would be Saw.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they would. I think they'd all lose it potentially. I don't know if anyone would tweet a normal thing after that. But I respect. It's more fun that way. I love it. I think it's more fun. I'd be down for it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So I guess I've got Titans winning. You've got the Camelot Kings winning, which would be...
No, I've got Titans 3-2 in the fight. I'm going with my head.
You went head. Oh, I thought you went heart.
Yeah,
my apologies.
No, never go hard. Never go hard. It's
never
foolish.
Go hard. Never go hard. All right, so we both have the Titans winning, just different finals opponents. I suppose the other thing I was going to ask was about meta. We've kind of talked about what we expect to see, particularly in mid, which is a lot more hunters, very few traditional mages. Someone in my chat before we went live asked about magical junglers. I personally do not see many viable magical junglers right now. Do any come to mind for you?
Nah, I think they're pretty bad. Maybe you could get a great Kabrakin game in there. Is maybe the one that comes to mind. Ice Ice Baby made it look... Ice Ice, sorry, he's not Baby anymore.
Yeah,
it's just Ice Ice.
There, yep.
He made it look pretty good in one of his games. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Ice Ice, by the way. I was really impressed with how he played at that event, considering...
Yeah, he did play well.
How he came into it.
Yeah, he did play well.
Quang, Oathsy made Quang look good as well.
He did.
Um,
God's bad, though.
Kibo is bad, will
Yep.
not be played. Yeah, I think Quang is not good enough. He's just too easily countered, especially with Med being so heavily valued in the meta as well. So yeah, I'm with you. No magical junglers, I don't think.
What you mentioned Med there. I mean, I've seen the tweets and ranked of 8 meditations and all that kind of stuff. I'm personally of the opinion that I think Med is a little overvalued. I think it is the best relic in the game by a wide margin, like levels 1 through 5. And then after that, I think it just falls off in team fights really hard. And I think that sometimes teams kind of troll, these double meditations and that kind of stuff. I just don't think are very good. Are you on that train, or do you think Med is as good as advertised?
I think it's super strong in lane, like especially the duo lane. I think it's especially good there. I don't really like Med in solo, honestly. I don't think it seems good. I mean, I can see maybe some teams coming up with novel strategies, almost using it like a heal around fire, doubling, but like engaging, backing off, healing up when there's no healers in the game with double Med, and then going back in. But other than that, I'm with you. I don't think it's a good late game relic. I do think it's almost necessary to go on support right now, though, with how strong it is in lane.
Sure.
I think you'll often be losing your second purple or losing an early death in lane if you don't go that mad. I think it's really is just that much of a difference maker in that 2v2.
Yeah, I think unless you have Izanami, you should be going Med. I think if you have like an Izanami lane, they just can't fight you so much that maybe you can get away without it, but maybe they can just ignore the wave and kill you because they have Med. But yeah, I think it's very good early, very unimpressive late. And I think that, there are a lot of very good teamfight relics still right now. Like, I still think Frenzy's good. I think Shell is underbought. I think Horrific has always been underbought. And if a support is somehow able to get away with going like Frenzy Horrific or something like that, I think that you'd pretty clearly be able to see the teamfight difference, but maybe they would just get stomped in lane, so they wouldn't have to worry about it. All right, well that's our SWC preview. Of course, we do have our random question of the week, and I swear I thought of one a few days ago, and now I can't remember, which is very typical for how these things go. Someone in chat asked me earlier we could do like a New Year's resolution thing, but I don't know about you, Hazer. New Year's resolutions just don't work for me and never ever have. I'm not a New Year's resolution guy.
No, me neither. I tend to, yeah. I was going to say my only New Year's resolution was to get 10,000 Twitter followers, which I did on New Year's Day.
Oh, so easy for you.
Completed it.
So
done.
easy for you. Well, then this whole year is just too easy. You know what I mean? You've already kind of gotten what you were looking for. All right, random question of the week. Let's okay, it's not a New Year's resolution, but it is something that I'm thinking about, is that, it's time for me to start eating healthier. I'm getting old, Hazer. It's my 30th birthday this month. So we're getting up there, and so it's time for me to start eating a little bit healthier. And we've been making a lot of broccoli recently, and I've been kind of thinking how broccoli, it just bangs. Like, it's so good, and I love it. So what are some of your favorite healthy foods whenever you're trying to be a little conscious about what you're consuming?
I do love broccoli as well. Yeah. Roasted broccoli with some pine nuts and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Ooh. Not very good for my stomach these days, and also takes away a bit of the health in there. But it's delicious.
Yep.
What are my favorite foods to eat when I'm being a bit more health conscious? Let me have a think here. I try and cook vegan at home most of the time. I live with my brother, and he does not cook vegan, so I still don't eat vegan that much.
Sure.
But I try. I quite like a stir fry. A stir fry, it's a boring one, but I quite like a stir fry, healthy, easy, quick.
Yep.
And it's not as healthy, but I'm gonna go cauliflower wings. Cauliflower wings, I really like them. You make like a batter just with flour and oat milk and spices, stick them in the oven, fry them up until they're crispy. They are delicious. I love those.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. If your brother it cooks a lot of meat, Hazer, we just got a sous vide for Christmas. I don't know if he has one. But dude, it is so easy. Like, it doesn't take any effort at all. All you do is you just put some meat in a big like gallon Ziploc bag with some like olive oil, some garlic, and some herbs. Just like push the air out, and then you put it into a big pot of water, and the sous vide does everything for you, and then you just take it out and you just put it in a pan, sear it a little bit. Dude, we made pork chops yesterday. They were unbelievable. We made some chicken breasts today. It was like the juiciest chicken breast I've ever had in my life, and it was so easy.
Yeah, I saw the chicken. I think you posted a pic on Twitter, right? It was looking good. It did look tasty.
Let me tell you, that is a. I don't know when his birthday's coming up, but
it's February. It's not far away, so maybe this year is his year.
Because it could be your gift. You know, there's a good baseball glove gift. That's what we always call them. When you're getting someone a gift that you will really receive the benefit of, like you're gonna be able to eat that food that he's cooking, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to live with him for that much longer. It's the only thing, you know. Yeah, I've grown out of living with my younger brother. I think at the age of 27, it's gone too far.
Yeah, I feel that for you. Yeah, for me, health conscious foods, definitely broccoli. For a while, we haven't done it in a long time, but I really love pearl couscous as an alternative side to like potatoes or something like that. A little bit of couscous on the side is really good. Just a little scallion, you know, a little olive oil, cook it up. That's delicious. Brussels sprouts are still bad. I don't care what anyone says. Those things don't taste good. But
I like them.
Broccoli and green beans. I think I could alternate eating broccoli and green beans like every other day for each one, forever. I think I'm good with just those two. I don't need any other vegetable in my life.
Where do you stand on tender stem broccoli? You think is it up there?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think that, you know, obviously the best part of the broccoli, like you said, roasted broccoli is by far the best. All we do, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, pop it in the oven, it's done. It's delicious. We like it nice and like little crispy, little crunchy. So, you know, the best part is like the crunchy leafies, but the tender, yeah, I'm fine with that.
When you're preparing broccoli, you know, the stem, do you cut out the middle of the tender bit of the stem and eat it while you're preparing it?
No, because I toss it to my dog, because my dog loves broccoli.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
She's a broccoli fiend. We were actually making fun of her today because my wife was like cutting up the chicken for the sous vide, and I was making the broccoli, and my dog was bothering me for the food instead of my wife. Like, what a weird animal she is that she likes broccoli more than meat. But that's great. She's a little bit of a freak, and we love her for it. All right, well, safe travels, Hazer. Thanks again for coming on. We'll be seeing you soon here in America for what's sure to be a great Smite World Championship. Everyone, thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you're giving us a good rating, all that kind of stuff. Everyone wish Barracuda some luck, our typical co-host, as he gets ready for the Smite World Championship, and we'll see what happens. But oh no, who's gonna say bye? Do you say bye, Hazer? Normally Barra says bye.
Should I say bye? How do I do it?
Well, normally I go, Barra, you know what to do, and then he goes bye as I like turn the camera down. Do you think you could? Okay, all right. Well, Hazer, I told you what to do. Bye. Okay, a little long, but overall, good.